Welcome back to All Things Jazzy. In this video, I am going to be showing you how I made this caramel apple pie pound cake. And it is so good, so good. Alright, so hopping right into it, I am going to use 4.5 apples. It was 5, but I ate the other half. But we're going to start off by peeling the apples. Of course, you can peel them however you want. I like to use this apple peeler, potato peeler. I use it to peel everything that has skin. Okay. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and peel the apple. And then I have some lemon juice over here in the corner. And I have another bowl. But the lemon juice is mixed with some distilled water, some bottled water. Okay. So once I'm done peeling the apple, I roll it around in the water. Or the lemon water. Yeah, the lemon water. Okay. I roll it around in the lemon water and then I just set it in another bowl. This just helps them to keep from browning while I'm peeling the other apples. Okay, so then I just take each apple and I use this apple core to go ahead and slice it down so that I can have some nice size apples. It also makes it easier than have to cut it with a knife, chop it like the way my grandma used to do it. Like we would cut it one way and then cut it another way to make the squares. But this way, I'm just able to make some nice little pieces of chopped apples. And I am adding them all into this bowl of lemon water and just whooshing it around. And then I am going to set it to the side and then I will drain it once I get this pot started. So I do have my pot here and I am turning it on to just heat it up a little bit. All right, so I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of butter. I love that the butter has the lines there, so I have to do no guessing. I'm just going to cut it right where the line is for the 2 tablespoons. Or 1 tablespoon, then 2 tablespoons. I don't just say like, wait, I don't know if it is say 1 or 2, but anyway, I know there's the gaps there. So adding the butter to the pot, I'm going to go ahead and let that melt down, and I am going to add a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, plus a little bit more, because I like being extra for some reason. And I just add a little bit more brown sugar to the pot, just to sweeten it up a little bit more, I guess. I don't know. But I add a little bit more. And so I'm just going to go ahead and stir this. You guys, I have no idea what I was doing with this little bitty old whisk, okay? I thought that I brung it out for this pot, but I didn't. So I had to go and get something else, something much bigger and stronger. All right, so I am just going to keep stirring this until it melts. And after it melted, I went ahead and I added in the apples. Y'all mix that because I didn't know my camera had stopped. All right, so I added in the apples and then I also added in all of my spices, which were some allspice, and I added in some cinnamon, of course, and also some nutmeg. I did a teaspoon of each except the allspice. I did a 1/2 teaspoon of the allspice, and I got extra with the cinnamon, so I added more than a teaspoon of cinnamon. All right, and so I also added in some cookie nib, just some flavoring. You can use vanilla flavoring if you want. And you're going to go ahead and give that a nice mix. And I can smell the apple pie already. Although this is not going to be like an apple pie, but it smells really, really good. All right, so just moving this over a little bit, I am going to use this measuring cup. Okay, so I'm using a measuring cup and I'm adding 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch. And I am going to mix that up. That's what I had the whisk for, y'all. So I had the whisk for this. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it up. And I'm just going to pour it into my apple pie or fritter mixture just to go ahead and so that as it cooks, I'm going to let this simmer for 5 minutes after this. But as it's cooking, it's going to thicken it up so that it's not too wet and drainy like water or like brown sugar water. We want to thicken it up, okay? And that's what that cornstarch is going to do. I'm just going to go ahead and move this to the side and just let it sit. I am going to put a top on it too. And I'm going to let it simmer. It's just going to like put it down to low heat and let it simmer for 5 minutes. Okay, and so the cleanup portion is very important. You can't continue to cook and do other stuff with all this stuff around. So you got to clean your area up. All right, so preparing the Bundt pan, I am going to go ahead and just go over the top in this pan because this pan is old. It has been around a few corners, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and spray that real heavenly heavy. I can't even say it right. But I just sprayed that down really, really good with the Baker's Joy cooking spray. Okay, so I'm not using my stand mixer today, so I do have a bowl here. And I am going to go ahead and add my butter. I'm going to add all 3 sticks of butter at once. I would normally use 2 sticks of butter and some butter flavored Crisco or just some other Crisco, but I didn't have any, so we're going to go ahead and use 3 sticks of butter. And I am going to use my hand mixer to just blend that up until it forms like a creamy texture. It was a lot of work. I should have used my stand mixer because the mixer is definitely a lot of moving around, and if you turn it on too high, it's just going everywhere. But anyway, and then I'm going to add in 2 cups of sugar. I just wanted to take my apple pie mixture filling off the eye that I have here because I didn't want it to continue cooking because I don't want my apples to be soggy. So I am adding in 2 cups of sugar, and I am going to go ahead and scrape the sides of my bowl and mix that up a little bit before I go ahead and use the hand mixer to blend that up, or the hand blender. No, that's not a blender. It's a hand mixer. Okay, yep. To blend that up. And if you watched any of my pound cake videos before, you know that we do stop in between. And we definitely scrape the sides and the bottom, no matter if I'm using my stand mixer or my hand mixer. So we're going to stop and just move everything off the sides and scrape the bottom. And when I was doing this video, I made the decision, no rulings or anything, okay? I made the decision not to do 1 egg at a time. I'm putting in 3 at a time. Well, 3 and then 2 because I'm using a total of 5 eggs. I'm going to put in 3 eggs and then I'm going to blend that in with this hand mixer, and then I'm going to put in the other 2 eggs. I should have just threw them all in here. When I make a 7-pound cake, I just throw them all in there, and trust me, it makes no difference at all. Sometimes it do, maybe for some cakes or other cakes, but as long as you don't over mix this, it makes absolutely no difference from what I have seen in my experience. Okay, so I'm going to add in 3 tablespoons of sour cream to the mixture before I start putting the flour and the coffee cream in. I would normally use like between a half a cup to a cup, but this time I'm only going to use 3 tablespoons because I want to add the apple pie filling in here. But this is just going to help with the moisture to keep the cake moist and not to be too dry. And then I'm also adding in some flavor to this as well. I also would normally add in, for a cake of this kind, I would normally add in my spices to the cake mixture, but I am going to be using this coffee creamer, y'all. It is cinnamon vanilla, okay? So that's going to be enough spice because like the cinnamon in this coffee creamer is really, really strong. So I am going to be using a whole cup of that. And also all of these ingredients are room temperature. The butter, the milk, the eggs, and also the sour cream are all room temperature, okay? So of course we am going to use this strainer so that we can sift the flour. And we want to make sure that you level off the flour. I know I have this little leveler on mine, but you can definitely use a butter knife just to scrape it off back into the bag or whatever you keep your flour in to make sure that you have exactly 1 cup. And so with each cup of flour, I am removing 2 tablespoons of the flour and putting it back. And I am replacing that with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Okay, that's just going to make the cake flour, like usually makes pound cakes, more lighter so that it's not so heavy. And so that's what we're doing with the cornstarch. We're making cake flour. So you'll also see me add in a teaspoon. I think I'll actually use 2. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of baking powder as well. I'm not replacing anything or doing any substitutes with that. I'm just adding that in one of these cups of flour that I'll be adding in. Okay, so I made another executive decision. Okay, I didn't ask nobody, but I decided to put in my last 2 cups of flour, do the cornstarch, and also add the baking powder all in here instead of doing the last 2 cups at a one by one. I'm like, I'm ready to get out of this kitchen. Y'all, just let me make this cake and get out of this kitchen. So I did see a disaster about to happen though. So what I did was took my spatula, and just gave it a pre-mix before or a fold before I went ahead and used my hand mixer to blend some more. Okay, I'm not going to blend it anymore. I am just going to give this one last turn just to make sure everything is incorporated and the sides are all in as well. So here is the pan we prepared in the beginning. So I have my apple pie mixture or filling here that smells so good. You see it thickened up so it's not really draining, which I did not want that to happen because I did not want it to just be drained all through the cake, just where I put it at, okay? All right, so adding in, I'm using a big spoon to just add some of the cake batter onto the pan because I'm not going to add all at once. It's going to be layered. So it's going to be cake batter, apple pie filling, cake batter, apple pie filling, and then we're going to end with the cake batter. And I'm not going to use all the apple pie filling or mixture because I want to save some. I want to save some for when the cake is done because we're going to add this to the top of the cake as well. So I did leave some in the pots. Then I'm just going to cover after I get this cake in the oven and just let that chill until the cake gets done cooking. I am going to cook this on 325 degrees, okay? And it did cook for 1 hour and 15 minutes total on 325 degrees. Okay, so after about 55 minutes in the oven, this is how it looks. It smells so good. Look how it's starting to crisp up around. All right, and it is all done. I just pulled this baby out the oven. Not to worry, this cake is gonna be super duper pretty on the other side, okay? It's actually pretty here. Now, of course, do your poke test. And again, mine's cooked for 1 hour and 15 minutes, but definitely do your poke test with your toothpicks or whatnot. And here come my favorite part, or the part that may make some of our adrenaline rush, to make sure that it comes off just nice and easy. I do like to give it a flip and let it sit for a moment. I did let it sit. Don't seem like it here, but I let it sit for about 5 minutes. Did a little tap and boom. So pretty. Do y'all see this gorgeous cake? And look, nothing was at the bottom of the pan. It is so pretty. You see the apples and stuff there at the bottom, all in the middle. It is so cute, y'all. It's perfect. It came out so perfect. I have my apple pie filling, and then I also made this caramel sauce. I'll leave the recipe and probably a video link for a short below. And I also have some crumble or some streusel topping that I made as well. So I'm just making sure my cake is not hot because I don't want it to be hot when I put this caramel apple filling on. I said caramel apple. Did y'all know? Have I been saying that? Oh my gosh. All right, so I don't want it to be hot when I put this caramel pie filling on top because again, it would just start to drain and I don't want everything just draining to the side. So I am just going to add it all around the circle. Now I'm kind of wishing I would have used the pan that I barely ever use, like the angel food type pan, the flat top pan. Y'all see, I was ready though. Y'all saw that when I fell? I was absolutely ready. I lined my tray here. I lined it with parchment paper because I knew something like this would happen. I knew something would fall or drip to the side. And I'm like, no, my little tray ain't gonna be ugly and have stuff everywhere. So I have a cake board up under the cake, but then I have it sitting on like a cake container Wilton thing. And I didn't want it to be like super duper messy. So I lined it. All right, so just adding it all to the top, and this mixture dripping off to the side is totally fine with me. I just don't want it to just be like a bundle or puddle at the bottom of the cake, you know? Okay, so now I am just going to grab handfuls of this crumble, and this is a 2-hand job, okay? And I am just going to add the crumble on top of the pie filling mixture. Add as much as you want. The crumble Of course, we know with apple pie, sometimes for me in my household, the crust be the best part when it comes to like peach cobbler and apple pies. Like eating that stuff with the crust is the best part. Although the filling be good, but the crust just tops it off. Anything with carbs just make everything better. Okay, so now we are going to add this caramel sauce to the top. Oh my gosh. So I'm just going to drizzle it all around. I am going to add a whole lot of this caramel, but I am going to save some of this caramel sauce or glaze, whatever you want to call it. But I am going to save some of it to add to the slices of cake. So like as we're slicing it up, we will be able to go ahead and just drizzle some caramel over the top of that. And also I have this extra crumble or streusel topping over on the side for anybody who wants more. Okay, and here it is. So it looks so delicious. Look at the middle though. Did y'all see the middle? How all some of the topping is up in there. Look. Oh, that looks so good. And it is good because of course I'm talking after I made the cake and after I tried the cake, and it is extremely good. It tastes so good. All right, so cut the piece. Let's try to cut 2 pieces because I'm going to let my daughters try it and y'all can hear their reaction to trying the cake for the first time, okay?
This is so good. This is so good, Mama.
Oh, thank you. See you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.